Let's talk toolboxes. Which ones are good? Which ones are bad? What ones have I seen suffer abysmal failures? Which ones are worth the money? Because quality and price runs the entire spectrum on toolboxes. And we're going to break it all down for you so that you can make an educated buying decision based on your budget and where you are in your career. Is there no music? We're not doing it? No? We're just going right into it, I guess. Okay. Let me adjust. And I get all... Hi, I'm back. Toolboxes. Need one? This video subject was the suggestion of a viewer, Greg Blau. So thank you, Greg. I really appreciate you asking these questions and giving me ideas for topics and content, because if this channel isn't what you want it to be, it's useless. And I appreciate you giving me the chance to tailor the content towards something that you want. And I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to talk about this because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about toolboxes. There's some really good information that you need to know if you're in the market for one, because there's a lot of opportunities to get taken advantage of by unscrupulous tool dealers. And if you're not going through a tool dealer, you just need to know some information if perhaps you're looking for a used box through a private seller. So I want to talk about all the different brands that I have seen. I want to and let you know what my opinion is on functionality, features, failure rates, and what you're actually getting for your money. And we'll also talk a little bit about what it's like to finance one of these boxes on a tool truck credit program. All right, first of all, I will dispel some myths, I think, that some brands are worse than others. I have never seen a toolbox have a structural failure. Never, ever, ever. And I'm talking, I've seen every brand. I've seen Snap-on, Mako, Mac, Cornwell, Extreme, International, Homac, Tool Vault, Montezuma, Husky, Milwaukee. Maybe there's one or two others in there. I have never seen a structural failure in any toolbox. The failures I have seen were due to neglect, and the drawer slides have suffered as a result. So if your drawer slides are getting dirty and gunky and full of junk and crap and gunk and you don't keep them clean, you're going to have a ball bearing failure. That's just the way that is. So it's on you to make sure that you're keeping your box well maintained. I have seen caster failures on two Mac Maximizer boxes, a Snap-on Epic, and a Matco 6S. And the casters all failed similarly in that the way the casters are constructed, there's a hub, that's the wheel, and then on that is this plastic, or maybe it's rubber, textured piece that goes around that, and then there's the tread that goes around the outside of that. That tread can fail, and I have seen in boxes, I'm talking 20 years old now, not like something that just rolled off the truck and into the shop in a week. I have seen the caster unravel, and that outer layer has come off so that all that's left is that textured rubber piece around the wheel, or the hub of that caster. You can get replacement casters fairly easily, however, they're very expensive, to the tune of, depending on the brand and depending on the size of the caster, and some of these are these really big, like 8-inch spring-loaded casters. Those can cost $600 to $800 each, and if you need 6 of them, that's a lot of money. Fortunately, I know Mako, Mac, and Snap-on, I don't know about Cornwell, all put lifetime warranties on their casters to the original owner. So if you bought the box used, unfortunately, they won't take care of it under warranty, but you can buy them if you're so inclined. I have seen lock failures on Matco, Mac and Snap-on boxes, I have seen failures of the drawer latches on Matco and Snap-on. Matco has a thumb turn with a little plastic piece that you can adjust up and down. I've seen those wear out and fail. And the slidey plastic latches on the drawers for the Snap-on ones I have seen fail. I don't know about Matco, but the Snap-on ones are covered under a lifetime warranty, so you can get them easily enough through your dealer or through Snap-on directly, so you don't adjust my camera. So you can get some relief there, again, to the original owner. So if you bought the box used, unfortunately, you got to buy them, but I don't think they're very expensive. I have never seen a structural failure. I've never seen a framing member give out. I've never seen welds give out. I've seen one brand new Snap-on Epic box that had the spray-on bed liner applied to the top. That bubbled off and blistered and broke. And it only happened like a week after the customer bought it. And he's mad because Snap-on's giving him a hard time with it. At least the guy in the truck is. I said to him, if you call Snap-on corporate, I said, I'm going to guess that they'll help you out no problem. Because they have been very good to us if we've asked them to help customers out. And they've always done us a solid. So he said, I'll give the guy in the truck a chance to do it. But he's getting kind of tired of waiting around for the truck guy. So I think his next call is going to be to Snap-on corporate to get that taken care of. But by and large, I can't tell you that one brand is worse than another, or that one brand is better than another, because what buying a toolbox comes down to is getting one that's appropriate for your use case. That is, what's the weight of the tools you're going to be putting in the drawers? Are you going to be parking this thing off on the side of the shop, or are you going to be wheeling it around every day to your bay, and then maybe you will park it at night when your shift is over? In which case, you're going to want to look at things like caster quality and construction cues if you're going to be moving it. If you're not going to move it at all, and you're not going to be putting really heavy tools in it, because let's say you're a motorcycle mechanic, you don't have the same tools that a guy who works on earth moving equipment at Caterpillar has. You don't have the same tools if you're an auto mechanic that a guy working on 18-wheeler diesel trucks has. So your requirements for how strong your box is and what the capacities of the drawers are going to be different. So make sure you shop that around and know that, well, maybe you don't need the heaviest duty version of that box. Maybe you can get away with a light or medium duty version of that box and save yourself a lot of money. And when you compare prices, you can look at, say, the low end of the pricing scale is the Milwaukee boxes at Home Depot are, I think, around $600 or $700, if I'm not mistaken. And I think a step up from those would be the Husky brand at Home Depot, which I think are outstanding values. And you'll pay under $1,000 for one of those. I forget how wide they are. I think like 50 inches, or 50 or 40 something inches wide, with a top box and a flip top on it. Little hutch situation going on up there. They've got a nice magnetic panel in the back so you can stick your tools to it, and they've got some outlets on there too so you can plug in your chargers. And they make a really nice box. They're not heavy duty though. I think their slide capacity is about 60 pounds a piece, which means that for every drawer that has 2 slides, it's going to be 120 pounds. You compare that to a heavier duty box, which might have slide capacity of 125 pounds each, and higher in some cases. And that's going to drive your decision as to what you're going to store in it, and if it's going to be heavy duty enough for your application. In addition, maybe you want color choices. Well, okay, then you're going to be out of the Husky range, because they'll make any color you want as long as it's black. That maybe puts you in another tier. Maybe you be in the Homac tier, which I don't think are anything to brag about quality-wise, but they're fine boxes. Never an issue with them. They have color choices, but there's no bells and whistles on those boxes. They are plain vanilla, strictly utilitarian boxes. If you want to step up from that, you would look at Extreme. They have some very good capacity drawers when you get into their EX Pro series line, you can get 600-pound capacity drawers in those. You get a bunch more color choices, but the price goes way up. And it's only once you start looking at the other tool truck brands like Mac, Cornwell, Snap-on, and Matco, are you going to see prices that go up even more than that? So can you buy a nicer box than, say, a Snap-on Epic? Probably not. They're beautiful boxes. They have great color choices. They have nice features. Really good build cues. But are you getting, something better than, say, an Extreme EX Pro Series? I don't think so. I think that quality-wise, they're just fine. Oh, another brand I didn't mention was US General from Harbor Freight and Harbor Freight's new Icon line. I never have seen a problem with a US General cart or box from Harbor Freight. In fact, one of my video I did a long time ago compares side by side the US General one with the Snap-on Classic 78. Click up there to see it if you want. And that was a very popular video because it was the first time I think I've had a chance to do a real good side-by-side because I happen to have one of each on the truck at the same time. So they were across from each other. I could literally do things like measure the gauge of the metal in the drawers and the sides and look underneath and see how they're constructed. And yes, they're constructed differently. The question isn't whether or not one is heavier duty than the other. The question is one good enough for you and at the price that you like? You can compare a brand new US General at, I think, $750 to a new Classic 78 at $5,400. If they're built to the same quality standard, why not save yourself the money? Unless you simply want the name Snap-on in your bay. And that's a perfectly legitimate reason. Just know that if you buy for the brand and not the quality or the price or the value, you're going to spend more for it. And that's where Snap-on gets you. And Matco too. They make beautiful boxes. I think the new Matco Revel boxes are gorgeous. I think their 6S's are built like tanks. I love the way Matco's boxes are built. But you pay a lot of money for that name, and you're not necessarily getting a better box than a Tool Vault or an Extreme EX Pro. Extreme also has a mid-level grade. That's their RX line, and those are very good. They used to manufacture those RX boxes for Monster. They still manufacture them for Gear Wrench, and there's a few third-party branding opportunities that they have with their RX series boxes, and they're a very good medium-duty line of boxes. I've sold both the RX series under the Extreme name and under the Monster name, and those boxes are now a few years old and still doing really well in the shops that they're in. And I am constantly in contact with these customers because I still see them on a regular basis. And I ask, how's the box holding up for you? How's it doing? Do you see any deficiencies, any problems? And so far, everyone's been very happy with them. When I get a used box from Snap-on or Matco on the truck to sell, because of the name on the box, I know that I can ask significantly more than I could, say, for a Mac or Cornwell box or an Extreme box or some other brand. Carts are another interesting thing. It's kind of an aside. It's not really the topic here, but I'll give you an example. A guy asked me to sell his Snap-on cart for him. I think it was a 3 or 4 drawer cart. Just a regular plain cart with an open bottom. It wasn't particularly large or high weight capacity. And I asked $600 for the cart, and I got it. And when it was on the truck, people were looking at it, asking about it, telling the price. And guys would say, "Well, yeah, $600 for this thing?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Why?" I said, "Because it says Snap-on on it." And that's the reality. I knew that I could ask more for that cart because of the name than any other cart. Was that cart better than any cart? No, it wasn't. But it says Snap-on, and there are guys who simply want the brand name. And for them, there's value there. And I'm not taking advantage of anybody because I tell you flat out, the reason that's, $100 more is because of the name on it. Would you buy a Matco one at that price? Probably not. Certainly not a Sunex one. Why? Because of the name, and people will buy that. And, it's not like I made out really well because I had to pay extra for it when I bought it from the guy. So when you look at brand names, just understand that sometimes all you're buying is a name. You're not necessarily buying a better quality box, especially given whatever application you have. So think about how you'll be using the box. Think about the kind of stresses your environment will put on the box. If you're going to be moving it around or if it's going to be staying put. If the only time you're ever going to move that box is when you change jobs, well, maybe you don't need something that heavy duty. Or maybe you do. It's entirely up to you. Or maybe you just want that feeling of knowing that you have an over-spec box and that you're not going to have any capacity issues with the drawers. If you decide to change jobs and maybe you have to tool up for a new sector of the industry that you're in, then you got a box that can handle it. That's fair. That's all good. Just understand the differences because these are things that you really want to consider. Now, how about buying these things and paying for them? Well, that's different. I'm going to tell you secrets that I know the franchise companies don't want me to tell you, and I can only tell you from my experience as a former franchisee what the numbers were. I suspect they're similar for the other brands, but I don't know that for a fact. But based on what I hear, I think that's all fairly similar. So the franchise tool trucks, Snap-on, Matco, Mac, Cornwell, they all have their own third-party creditor that they can sign you up for, and they'll underwrite the loan for the box. That means that when the dealer gets you signed up and he writes out the assets on that you're purchasing, he then submits that to the credit company, right? And then the credit company puts you on the hook for the debt, and then they pay that dealer some vast majority of the percentage of that sale. It's probably not 100%. For example, I know Mac paid 90%. So if a Mac dealer sold a toolbox for $10,000 and he got you on Mac credit, he submits the paperwork, he gets $9,000. That other $1,000 goes to the credit company. So he's not making all his money. And I don't know what the other companies do, but I suspect it's not 100%, that they give the dealer most of it, but not all of it. Now, the dealers, the list price on that box, hopefully is not what the dealer is going to sell it for, because the list price on the box is about twice the price of the dealer's cost on that box. That $10,000 list price on that box means the dealer bought it for about $5,000. Okay? If you buy it for the full 10 grand and he gets you on his credit program and then he gets even 90% of that, he just made how much of a profit? $4,000. Because he paid $5 for this box, they just sold for 10 and he's getting 9. Okay? But that gives him a lot of money to play with when it comes to what he's negotiating for the price of the box. Don't ever pay full list price for a toolbox on a tool truck because they've got a lot of money to play with, and it's almost like the dealer, although he needs to make a profit and he wants to make as much money as he can, he doesn't need to make all of the money in order to be happy with the sale. Would that dealer be happy if he made $2,000 on the price of that box and got a sweetheart of a trade from you? Let's work those numbers and show you how that works. List price is $10,000. He pays $5,000. He's got $5,000 in profit margin in this box, or you got $5,000 in profit in this box. And you say, I want to trade in my other box. He can say, maybe your box is worth $2,000. He can really make that sweetheart deal. Like, oh, I'll give you $4,000 for that box. And you go, whoa, I saw him coming, didn't I? What a sucker. He just gave me $4,000 for a box that I know is only worth $2,000. Well, let's do the math. $10,000 on the list price. He bought it for $5,000. He gives you $4,000 for your trade. He's still going to make $1,000 on that box without doing anything. He now has your box. Let's say he sells it for $2,000. How much profit did he make off that original sale? $3,000, right? So the numbers can look a little weird unless you understand how it all works on the back end. Make sure that you don't, the dealer's not going to make a deal where he's not going to make any money, so he's always going to make a profit. He has to or he's not in business. So don't begrudge a dealer for making a profit. And don't begrudge a dealer who makes a lot of money on a box if you're happy with the price. That's not how this works. Like if you think that, $10,000 seems like a good deal, Well, okay, that's fair, even though he might be making his full profit on the box of $4,000 or $5,000. If it's a good price to you, it's a good price. But just understand that when a dealer works a trade with you, he's looking at a lot of things besides what your box on trade might be worth. He's looking at how much he has in the box you were buying from him, what that difference is, and how much he thinks he can get for your box when he sells it. There are times when, if the dealer gets a particularly good deal on a trade, it's worth it for him to actually take a hit. So let's say you have this really nice box where he thinks he can sell your box for, I don't know, let's say he thinks he can sell it for $4,000, right? $10,000 list price, $5,000 he's got into it, and he's thinking, I can sell this guy's box for, what did I just say, $4,000? I don't remember what I said. What if he says to you, to make the deal work, I'm going to give you a $6,000 trade-in on your box? And you go, $6,000? That means I only pay $4,000 for this $10,000 box. Yeah, you do. And good on you. And that's a good deal. Now, he gets your box. Now, what just happened? He gave you 6 on a box that he's got 5 into, right? That 6 minus a 10 is $1,000 less than what he bought that box for. So he's taking a $1,000 hit on the front end selling that box. Now, what's that mean? That means if he can sell your box for $1,000, he broke even. But he knows he can sell your box for $4,000. So how much is he going to make? Well, that $1,000 less than the 5 is $1,000 plus another 3, $8,000. So if he's going to make a $3,000 profit and make you a sweetheart of a deal, it works out for everybody. The dealer gets what he's looking to get. He's making a healthy profit selling your trade, and you're getting a really good deal on the price of the new box. When I say really good deal, I mean it's all relative. I still think that toolboxes are overpriced in general. If you look at the Harbor Freight boxes, the U.S. General brand, and the new Icon line, I'm a big fan of the Icon line. I think that the quality on those boxes is fantastic. I know 2 customers who have them. I poured over the boxes inside out, underneath, over it, everything. I can't find one thing wrong with these boxes. I think they're wonderful, beautifully built. I would stack them up in quality to the Snap-on Epics. And that's the Snap-on flagship line. That's the top of the line brand. And I think that they've come a long way in their quality that they're cranking out there at Harbor Freight. I don't know who makes the Icon boxes. They look very similar to Matco boxes, but I have no idea. I don't know if they're made in China or if they're made in the U.S. And I don't know who manufactures them, but I think they're very good quality. The U.S. General line, way less expensive. And for $1,000, you can get a 72-inch wide, 25-inch deep U.S. General box. Sorry, I'm getting over some allergies. So the price that you pay per square inch of storage space is far less on the U.S. General ones than it is on any other brand. So I think that, if you don't have a heavy-duty application, absolutely consider U.S. General. If you want to look at the Husky ones, there's an outstanding value there from Home Depot. I've also had a chance to look over all their stuff. In fact, I did a review on their video, on their box a long time ago. Again, I'll post a link to it. But a guy come to me, he wanted to trade a Snap-on Classic 78 if I would get him a brand new setup from Home Depot. And I said, you realize, I said, that these are not equivalent, right? I said, you can sell this Classic 78 for way more. He says, I know. He says, but he and I had done business for a long time. He says, I like it. He says, I want to give you something that there's some meat on the bones for you there. And I'm like, well, thank you very much. It was a very nice deal. I got him the Husky setup. He was really happy with it. He gave me a Classic 78. So for my cost on that Home Depot box was under $1,000. And Classic 78s have really good resale value, so I was able to make a good margin on that one. I appreciated that. Deals like that don't come by often, but when they do, you enjoy them. And I think that if you're a new technician getting into the field, stay off of the tool trucks and don't have this conversation with them at all. Some guys are not going to play it straight with you. I do not have a dog in this fight. So I'm happy to disclose all this stuff to you because it doesn't matter to me. In fact, from my perspective, because I don't use a third-party creditor, I prefer to not sell toolboxes because they're very expensive for me. And in the total credit that I have available through my suppliers, I will use a significant portion of it to buy a big toolbox. That's very expensive, and it means that's less stuff that I can afford to buy for other customers. So if I don't make toolbox sales, I'm fine with that. If there's something somebody wants, I have to make sure that the deal is structured such that it makes financial sense for me to do. And I can't just sell a toolbox to anybody because that's big risk when you pay out that kind of credit to somebody. So I have to be careful who I sell to. I can only sell a toolbox to certain customers of mine. Usually it's ones I've had a long history with, who I know to be very good customers, who I know are going to pay on time and pay the agreed upon amount, that are financially secure in their jobs and in their careers. I can't sell a toolbox to a guy I've never met before. I can't extend that kind of credit. So I'm not really losing anything by giving you this information because I really don't. I'm not driven by toolbox sales. I'm driven by all the tools and stuff that I use to fill the toolbox with. So for me, it's really not, it's not a big deal. If you have questions about this stuff, ask me in the comments. Your experiences also count for a lot. I am confident that you've had good and bad experiences with other tool dealers. I'm confident that you've made good deals and some of you made bad deals, and maybe you feel in hindsight that deal wasn't as good as I thought it was, or maybe you made a great deal. It really depends on your particular experience. But no matter what, when you're on a tool truck and you see that gorgeous toolbox on that truck, please do not make that an impulse purchase. Think long and hard about what it is you're buying, what it is you're needing, how is it fulfilling those needs, how are you going to use that as you grow your career, and are you going to grow into that box or are you going to grow out of that box pretty quick? And finances are a real concern. Getting on Snap-on credit or MAC credit for 20, 25% interest isn't the deal you think it is when it's only $50 a week, because you'll be paying that $50 a week forever because it's compounded interest, which means it's going to be piling on your balance. And some companies charge you, maintenance fees and interest charges on top of that. Next thing you know, your balance is actually going up, even though you're making your minimum agreed upon payment. Well, you're not in any credit trouble with the credit company, but man, you're getting in more and more debt as you go because all these compounding charges keep piling up. So if you can afford to save up some money, look on Facebook Marketplace for a good used box. I know a young technician who just bought a 20-year-old Mac Maximizer. It's in great shape. A couple of things that need some attention, like one of the drawer slide sticks or something. But for the price that he paid, he got a really good deal. He saved up his money. If you can afford to do that. Work out of whatever you've got now for as long as you need in order to pay as much as you can on a toolbox so that you finance as little as possible, so that you're not getting upside down in your debt in that you owe more than the box is worth. You really want to make sure that you can pay it off in a reasonable amount of time, paying as much as you can at any one time for your payments in order to get that debt knocked down and get it behind you. Do not fall into the trap of getting roped into these long-term debt deals that never seem to go away, because they don't. I know a guy who he was so happy because he's a fairly old-timer guy. He got on my truck. He's been a good regular customer for me. He gets on my truck, clicking his heels practically. He says, "I feel great." I'm like, "How come?" He said, "I just paid off my 18-year-old Snap-on tab." I'll let that sink in. Now, I know as a technician, you're probably always going to have a tool bill. But holy crow, 18 years on your truck account that included, like your first toolbox and your scanner and all these other things that you keep buying. Whew, this stuff adds up. And it can go on for a long, long time. So give some serious thought to the math involved in any loan deal that you make, in any credit deal that you agree upon. Ask the dealer to disclose all the numbers to you. And if there's something you don't understand, hold him to it, take him to task, and make sure he explains it. Because if you don't understand it and he can't explain it, he may not understand it either. And he's very motivated to get you wrapped up in this credit deal so that he gets paid a big chunk of money at one time. Don't let his eagerness drive your decision. Please, I'm begging you, don't do it. Look out for yourself because your interests are first and foremost in your mind, chances are pretty good the guy trying to rope you into a bad credit deal is not looking out for your best interests. He probably doesn't care about your future. He just wants to make a sale, and he wants to get paid on that. And his desire to make a buck is going to pressure you into making a decision that may not be good for you. So be patient and do your homework. Please ask me questions. I'm happy to tell you what I know, and make a good decision. I was really happy when I walked into a shop where a guy, I think he's 25 years old, said to me, "Oh, I just bought a toolbox," and I got a little sad, thinking that he probably just got a really expensive toolbox, and he's a diesel mechanic. I said, "What'd you get?" And he says, "Take a look." And he takes me over to his bay, and he reveals to me this Husky toolbox from Home Depot that he spent about $800 on. I'm like, "Man, you just made a really good decision." I high-fived him. I congratulated him because I really think he got an excellent value for where he is in his career. Someday he may want to upgrade, or maybe he wants to keep his first box as augmented storage. He'll have that option, and he didn't pay an arm and a leg. He could pay cash for it and not go into debt, and that is the name of the game. That's the sweet spot if you can hit it. So use that as your goal. Don't get roped into these long-term credit deals because they'll kill you. So I hope that you found this maybe not enjoyable, but at least informative. Maybe you learned some secrets that other dealers didn't want you to know because it adversely affects their ability to do business. But I think it's only right that we share this information because if you don't know, you can get taken advantage of. And I don't want that to happen to you. I like you too much. I appreciate your viewership here too much and your support to see you get thrown to the wolves like that. So be patient. Ask questions. If you're in the midst of working out something with a dealer and you want to bounce something off me, please, I'm happy to tell you what I know. And use that information for what it's worth. So do me a favor, keep watching because we have lots of other videos that I think you'll find informational and educational and hopefully fun. We're always cranking out our monthly Tools in the Hall videos. Just before I shot this one, I shot another one of those. So that'll be going up in a few weeks. And we've got some other videos, some new vlog segments coming out too. Formats like this one that talk about some other subjects. So do me a favor. Click down here now to subscribe so that you don't miss any of it. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, use a tool. Don't be one.